Who should have been held more responsible, Lola or Frances? So, for those of you who don't know, in season 1, Frances and Mary broke up because Mary did believe that Frances would, be killed because of his relationship with Mary. And Mary wanted to avoid that at all costs. Frances didn't know why she was ending the relationship. But yeah, he ended up trying to leave France. And basically, on his way out of France, he met Lola in, I guess, like a tavern or something, because Lola's brother had basically lost all of his money in playing like games like poker and everything, or whatever game he was playing, and she was going there to pay off his debts. She saw Frances, and basically it wasn't safe for her to be alone, and he kind of helped her out in that situation because she's a woman in a random part of France and she's not from there. And then y'all know what happened. They got together. Her reason and his reason were both because he was never going to see Mary again. They believed that the relationship was over. That's still not a reason, but okay. Long story short, they both thought that, Frances would never return back to French court and never get married to Mary. And so they decided to, and funny enough, he ended up going back to French court and marrying Mary. Long story short, Lola gets pregnant. She tries to hide it from Mary. And once she's about to get rid of the baby, Mary comes and tells her, like, hey, you don't need to do this. I'm here for you. Lola's like, you don't understand. Basically, this is your husband's child. So who do I believe is more responsible? First off, no matter what there was no reason for it. The whole I never thought y'all would see each other again, that Lola spat, made no sense. The fact that Frances is like, my heart is with you, Mary, but then got with her best friend and her lady in waiting, both of them are terrible. I think Lola knew that she was going to have to see Mary again. She knew that she was supposed to be Mary's best friend and her lady in waiting. That's betrayal. That's like borderline treason. So yes, I believe that Lola was in the wrong so much, and especially because Mary helped her out and did not hold it against her. Like, Mary could have literally held it against her, got rid of her, took away her title, her land, and her money and everything. And she did none of that because she was such a loyal friend to Lola. And Lola was literally terrible to her many times. Lola always overstepped her boundaries with Mary. And to be honest, I actually really like Lola's character. If it wasn't for her always being on the opposite side of Mary. Like, to be honest, there were a lot of times where she did help out Mary. There were a lot of times where they tried to give her a relationship with someone else, and then they just completely dropped it. Like, she was supposed to have a relationship with Bash before she even had a relationship with Frances. So that could have worked out perfectly. Like, I'm telling you, there were so many ways they could have gone with her character, and they decided to cut off every other way and then have her pregnant with his son. Frances was just terrible in season 1 anyway. Like, I hated season 1 Frances. So they're both held responsible. I think if people are going to hold Lola responsible, they need to hold Frances just as responsible, because not only was he crap in season 1, but the fact is that he played the whole I love you card. You've always been in my heart. You've always been the woman just for me, and decided to sleep with her best friend. Like, excuse me? Like, yeah, Lola was dead wrong, but so was Frances, and I'm gonna need y'all to start holding him accountable. Now, he did become a better husband once he got married to Mary. He was a great husband. He always tried to put her first and her country first. But y'all need to hold both of them responsible. I'm sorry. I can't forgive either one of them for what they did to her, and Mary deserved none of it. And lastly, when Lola finally pushed the last button of Mary's buttons, like, Mary was like, look, I could have kicked you out a long time ago. Like, I could have kicked you to the curb. You should be grateful. And Lola still wasn't grateful. And she was like, basically, you need to be lodged elsewhere. Best to keep you out of my sight. I was like, you go, Mary. And then she ended up forgiving her that same, like, episode and stuff. And again, she was just never held responsible for her actions. The only person that held her responsible for her actions was Queen Mary's mother. And no one even liked Queen Mary's mother. The only way I liked her, the only reason is because she held Lola responsible for her actions. And she did that one good time and then went back to being a terrible mother. So, long story short, they did have a baby together. And the baby's name was John. To be honest, I really felt bad for John because even though he was a baby out of wedlock to the King of France and his wife's lady-in-waiting, John still suffered a lot because he lost his father whenever he was still a baby because Francis passed away. And then not too long after, he lost his mom. So he's literally an orphan now. And in the last season, he went back to French court with Catherine, his grandmother, Francis's mom. That's the only, like, good thing that's happened to him. Like, I honestly felt so bad for John. Like, he deserved to have two good parents. And overall, even though they were both crap for doing what they did to Mary, they were amazing parents to John. So that's the only thing that I actually forgive them for, is being good parents. And for Mary encouraging them to be good co-parents. Like, who would you know that would have done that? Again, Mary is queen.